Hello everyone, Yensid Organist here. I hope you guys are having a great day today. Some of you may be aware that I have done collaborations in the past with Jonny Music, and if you haven't checked those videos out, I would highly recommend that you check them out. But I have finally had a chance this weekend to meet Jonny in person, and I get to sit down with him here at Andrews University in Berrien Springs, Michigan. We finally got to meet and been chatting a little bit, and so we kind of wanted to introduce each other on our channels. So we're kind of doing a little bit of an interview talking about our channels and our work as organists and what we're doing. And so I'm going to be asking Jonny here a few questions. And there is another interview that I have done. Jonny asked me these same questions, and so you can head over to his channel and see my answers to these questions. So, right. Jonny, really enjoyed getting to meet you today and talk with you some more.
Likewise.
So I guess let's kind of jump right in.
Sure.
So first, wanted to ask you how you first got interested in the organ.
Okay, this is a really good question here because I got really interested with organ music ever since I was a toddler, since I was very young. Basically, there was this original recorded broadcasting performance of an Australian Christian oratorio known as the Jerusalem Passion. I fell in love with that ever since I first saw it saw the recording on a VHS tape on TV, and with that recording, it got me interested fully in music in general, and also with video making as well, and also along with that with organ music as well, because in my honest opinion, the organ solos in the Jerusalem Passion are beautiful to listen to. In my honest opinion, I just love them. And that was one of my biggest inspirations to organ music. It was actually my, my main introduction to the organ actually was because of that performance with the organ solos going, and that's how I immensely got interested in organ music as one of the biggest influences actually, especially knowing not just how powerful an organ can be, but also with how quiet it can be with so much variety that the instrument has, especially with the huge amount of stops that it can have. And this organ that they used in this recording, they were performing at the QPAC, the Queensland Performing Arts Centre in Brisbane, Australia. And in that concert hall, at QPAC, they have a 4-manual organ built by I forgot the builder's name. I'll probably leave a text for that, of who the builder is, who made it. It was a four manual organ that they had there, and the instrument itself, it's very beautiful to look at, and even the concert hall that they performed at was really good. It's actually one of my top places to visit around the world as soon as possible. But from the very beginning, that was how I actually got interested in organ music in the first place, was because of that very recording. Because the other recordings that they've done, they were not that great in my opinion. So the original recording, even the CD recording that they released later on, it sounded nice, but in my opinion, not as great as the original recording done at QPAC back in 1987 was when they had that concert that was recorded to tape.
You all know that I'm not exactly the traditional organist, and Jonny has likewise been pursuing a non-traditional path. So what led you to your non-traditional path, shall we say?
Okay, yes. I don't want to get too much into the specifics, but when I was growing up as a kid, I did take piano lessons when I was 6.5, and then I still continued taking piano lessons throughout my life until I turned 20. Was when I stopped with piano lessons because I wanted to focus on finishing my college education. In the United States, that would be known as community colleges, because back in Canada, they have colleges and universities, and some of you probably would or would not get that or do your own research. But basically, I was doing post-secondary studies for digital video production, which was, of course, one of my interests as well, was creating videos and even films as well. But my other huge passion that I've grown up loving was with music, and the organ being my most favorite instrument. So to further answer the question, I was after I graduated from college for digital video production. I did well throughout the program to do it, and hence why my video skills are pretty good as well. Not only have I been editing videos, before I went to college to fine-tune the craft of creating videos and the such, but about that actually, when it came to music, back in 2013, before I went to college, and before that, I was actually taking an entirely different program, which I decided to quit after one semester because I really didn't like it at all. It was electronics engineering technology. Because to get this out of the way, and here's a life lesson for you guys: if you're only going to go to college for money, don't do it. You're gonna hate it for the rest of your life. Yep. I really suggest you do not go to college for a specific program just because you want money. I'm telling you right now, you're going to be miserable for the rest of your life if you still think that way, if you have that mindset. But anyways, what I was about to say was, after I withdrew from that program, I took a half a year off. But also during that year, for the heck of it, I started branching off 2 more YouTube channels because I originally had one to begin with, which today is known as my main channel, Jonny Selimovic Productions, and the other 2 channels I branched out was for gaming and the other for music, since I do have a huge interest for gaming and music. And so while I was in college, I decided to keep those extra channels as an experiment, and so far it has been going pretty well with what I've been uploading on there. And so I decided to keep producing content for them. And now fast forwarding to now, I've decided to mainly focus on my music channel. And for some of you, when it comes to the gaming one, I'm mainly live streaming on Twitch and not doing so much for YouTube. I'm just using my YouTube as a Twitch archive, just making that very clear. I'm not depending on my gaming YouTube channel. I'm streaming on Twitch first because I know there's potential in Twitch for that. But aside from that, when it comes to my music channel, I started experimenting with different types of music videos, especially with this kind of idea that people might think it's weird, freestyle conducting. I decided to try that concept out, and some people found that to be interesting. And I actually do have a really, really good idea that I want to make happen in the future, but I'm not going to give out any details. I'm going to try and keep that a surprise and only to a limited circle if I really want to make it happen, because actually, I really do want to make it happen, but I'm not going to give out any details about that. But yes.
So all that is to say, make sure you go over and subscribe to Jonny's channel so that you will be able to see that when it happens. Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed. The freestyle conducting ones I did upload, as well as uploading a few instrumental, or more specifically piano. I've been doing some piano music videos on there. I think I've only done at least 4 or 3. Yeah, I think 4 or 5 piano music videos that I've done on there, and I still was taking piano lessons at the time. And fast forwarding to 2015, I decided to stop with piano lessons because I wanted to focus on college. And then fast forwarding, of course, you guys already know those details. But then fast forwarding nowadays, since I did realize that I have a huge love for music, and also with other things, especially video games and even music and TV shows, I do know that especially video games have really good soundtracks, very beautiful soundtracks, and so I really wanted to bring arrangements out there for the organ. And one of the things that challenged me to actually create one was with one specific arrangement of This Day Aria by music by Octavia, and I was actually very disheartened to see that music by Octavia didn't want to release the sheet music, because of course there have been people asking for the sheet music, but then music by Octavia gave an excuse saying that they cannot release it due to certain things. And so I respected their answer, and I just moved on from it. But it didn't stop there. My first arrangement that I've ever made was This Day Aria from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. It's by far a huge fan favorite, This Day Aria, from the season finale of season 2. Which is a huge favorite, and so I took it a challenge upon myself to actually create the arrangement, for the heck of it. And so fast forward today, it's still there to this day. There are people who really appreciated that I've made my arrangement of the sheet music free and not charge anyone for it. And ever since, from that year in 2014 when I first made it, 2014, yeah, I believe it was 2014 that I made a few arrangements up to the end of 2016. There were a few that I made because I was very busy, with life and whatnot. But then, ever since the start of 2017, I actually took my organ arrangements more seriously, especially since I loved organ music a lot, and I really want to push the limits of the organ to see how much potential it has. And so, fast forwarding nowadays, I've already made over 110 arrangements and counting. I pretty much have much more time, especially for a 23-year-old like me. Since I'm already out of college, I should really use the time that a lot of free time that I have now, aside from part-time jobs, to work on as many arrangements as possible, especially with so many references out there for video game music. For example, one of the secrets to that is MIDI files. It's very simple. Even with early video game music, MIDI files are a very easy thing to use for creating arrangements. I mean, many other musicians who create arrangements of video games also used MIDI files, so it's a no-brainer to get the MIDI files of video game music to create the arrangements, and it was pretty easy for that. And one of the easiest, best examples of that was with my Super Mario Brothers collection, OST collection, parts 1 and 2, or movements 1 and 2, actually, I should say, because it was very simple to just bunch them into 2 separate collections, because they were based on MIDI files, and they were pretty short. And basically, I would be kind of lying if I said 110, because in those collections there would be more than one song, so basically a multiple. But nowadays I am still very pumped as ever to continue creating more arrangements of video game music, and even soundtracks from movies and TV shows, and even from popular artists like Bruno Mars. I did make some arrangements of Bruno Mars's songs, and also one of Men at Work. You guys must have already known about it, Land Down Under, or just Down Under. I also made the arrangement for that. You'll obviously find it on my channel.
Let me just say, it's an impressive body of work that you have put together, and really well written arrangements. Yeah. So,
although I would also have to make a quick disclaimer that for some experienced organists, some of them might be a little. Some of them can be understandably frustrated with how simple the arrangements look, because me personally, I try to keep them as simple as possible, and because I like to give the organists, especially Rob here, much more creative freedom with how they perform those arrangements, and cues with how with certain parts they're played. Obviously, will be dynamics, and they'll have more time to experiment with that, and also very happily when I want to specify certain parts in arrangements, like for solos, for example, I still list them on the arrangements, like solo, this stop, etc., etc., etc. And obviously I still leave helpful notes on the arrangements to help whoever's playing understand what they're going to go through. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your arrangements are very approachable, and yet they still bring out the complexity of the music, and leaving it to the specific organist. Yes. So, if you play the organ, go check out his music. I will put a link to Muse Score. There it is. I'll put a link to Johnny's Muse Score down in the description.
Yeah, you will find as Rob said, you will find the link to my Muse Score profile in the description of the video for you guys to check out the list I have there.
Moving on from there, which organists have inspired you? I know you've mentioned to me before that Cameron Carpenter is a big inspiration for you. So tell me a little bit about that, and other organists that may have inspired you along the way.
Okay, yes, Cameron Carpenter. I know he may be a little bit controversial, especially to traditional organists. Understandably, they can. I've seen some of them be pretty picky with how he performs them, but hey, I respect him a lot for what he's trying to accomplish. Even sometimes I would disagree with what he's doing, but hey, in general, more power to Cameron Carpenter. There's a lot more power to him. He's a genius. I will definitely say he's a genius, despite what others may say. But I'm pretty sure as well that Cameron, if you're watching this, you're definitely gonna want to check out my arrangements, man. You just gotta check out my arrangements, man. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. And what else? Of course, Cameron Carpenter is he's a really interesting organist as well, with the way how he performs them, especially with some classical pieces. Like, for example, the way how he performed Toccata Oh yeah, from Fantasia in G minor. There's also the fugue. Fugue.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the way how he performed fugue. Actually, yeah, it was his performance of the fugue part of Fantasia and Fugue in G minor by Bach. The way how he performed it, in my personal opinion, it was actually still it was very tolerating to listen to. I think that's the best way I can put it. I just like let's just say that's one of the best interpretations that I've heard, as the original way that Bach either transcribed or how other organists have transcribed it or performed it. I don't know. It's just a little bit iffy to me, in my personal opinion. But the way how Cameron did it, I definitely did like that version much better, probably because of the way of how upbeat and how engaging it is. And yeah, I have a lot of respect for Cameron Carpenter with that. And there are definitely a few other organists that did inspire me. Well, obviously I did mention about the Jerusalem Passion. The original organist who was in the recording, she definitely did a tremendous job with performing those solos. Well, especially playing the organ for the rest of the oratorio. Yeah, for the rest of the oratorio, and yeah, with the way how she performed them, she's definitely one of my other inspirations when it comes to performing them. I don't remember her specific name. I don't know. I don't know if she's still alive today. She looked quite young in that, and she probably would be still alive today. But
I'm gonna have to go research that.
oh, I'll definitely send you the links to the Jerusalem Passion. Trust me, I think you're really gonna like it.
Okay.
And as for others, I do know there's Charles Vidor and some others, but I didn't really dabble too much on the other organists. Well, of course, there is the one and only Johann Sebastian Bach that we're all familiar with, and I guess that's pretty much it with that.
To follow up on something you were saying about Cameron Carpenter's interpretation of the that Bach fugue, you know, there are two kind of schools of thought on how to perform Bach. There are the traditionalists who go, Bach would have played it this way, and we know from our research and study that this is how Bach, and this is how it must be interpreted. And then are the people that say, Bach didn't leave us any instructions, let's do whatever we want with it. And those two groups of people do not get along so much. They do. I'm definitely in the latter group, but you know, people have their own preferences. So anyway,
All right. Yeah.
you mentioned video games. So what specifically led you? I know you've done a lot of stuff from the My Little Pony TV show, and from Mario recently. What specifically led you to those genres or groups of pieces?
Yeah, I believe I did mention a bit on one of the previous questions that what inspired me to start was with music by Octavia's arrangement of the state aria on the organ, titled "The State Aria Arranged for Organ." It sounded really nice, but as I mentioned before, it was a bummer that they decided not to release the sheet music for whatever reasons that they said they didn't want to release them. So I wanted to make my own arrangement to probably, let's just say, compete in a friendly way with music by Octavia. Because if there are people who legitimately really want to perform the piece, just give it to them. Give it to them, you know, for free. Don't charge anything, especially if you really want to do something, just do it. But yeah, that was actually one of the things that led me to still create organ arrangements today, was also because of the music from My Little Pony Friendship Magic. And actually, quickly, how I got into the show, I'm first of all a proud brony. I still like to watch the show, especially with season 8. I still like to catch up with it time to time, but. How I got introduced to the show actually was my middle brother actually started watching the Equestria Girls for the first time, and he actually thought it was pretty interesting. And actually, I was introduced to the show earlier when I was at my cousin's. We actually watched the season premiere of season 3 on Netflix, and it was okay. When I first saw it, especially when I was with my cousin, I wanted to get along with it, and it was not too bad. I was still iffy on it, but then fast forward to when my brother found out about the Equestria Girls part of My Little Pony. He actually thought it was interesting. He told me about it, and I definitely told him, hey, I'll definitely take a look at it whenever I can, because at the time I was actually finishing up on Breaking Bad. I was actually
That's a bit of a change.
yeah. Well, the thing is, with me personally, I want to get this quickly out of the way. I actually don't mind watching certain things of different tones. I'm fine with watching stuff that is dark and gritty when it comes to action and drama to happy-go-lucky kind of stuff. Let's just say I could pretty much enjoy any kind of genre. It doesn't really matter to me. I like to dabble on pretty much everything, though. I personally do like action, but that's for another action movies, but that's for another time. And about the show as well, My Little Pony. I'm going to quickly mention this. Was I also found out as well that the show actually did help me out therapeutically when it comes to learning how to properly socialize with others. And since I do have high functioning autism myself, I did have trouble. I did have trouble in my early years, with trying to socialize with people properly. Even I was pretty talkative, when I was younger, and I didn't really know how to properly socialize with others back then. But I'm actually, thank God, I did get diagnosed when I was 4 years old, so I did have an early intervention, which helped me somewhat to socialize better with others. But it wasn't until I finally got to MLP short for My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, that the writers. Oh my goodness, the writers of the show did a tremendous job with writing the life lessons and the life lessons and social skills lessons, or probably more specifically life lessons, which includes socializing. And they make the show very accessible to a wide range of audiences, hence why there is a brony community of adults out there, and it has helped me personally with my social skills. And but yeah, and also hence why, nowadays you see me and Rob having an interview, because I actually don't mind, I don't mind socializing with others nowadays because I got used to it now. And there's a bit more that I need to do to improve it, but I am getting there, and I'm very grateful the show exists. And Lauren Faust, if you're watching this, thank you so much for initiating the show. You have no idea how much impact the show meant to me. It's life-changing. It's very much life-changing. Now, quickly, when it comes to video games, I've grown up with video games ever since... I've grown up with video games when I was young as well. My first introduction to video games was probably with my cousins. I don't my memory's pretty vague about this, but the earliest time I remember was there was a Super Nintendo there and a bunch of other things, but the earliest recollection of playing a video game was when my middle brother was in a hospital when he had a cancerous tumor on his right shoulder. And there was in the sick kids hospital in Toronto, they have the video game rooms, and I was pretty much got myself more into video games from there. And it was a bit later that I got myself a Game Boy Advance, a Nintendo Game Boy Advance, which I then got my first introduction to Super Mario World for GBA. Many others who played Super Mario World must have played it on the Super Nintendo, but I got introduced to it on the GBA with the GBA port of it. But I pretty much fell in love with Mario games from there. Over the years, ever since I first started playing it, I loved Mario games for pretty much the rest of my life, and I still like to play Mario games to this day. Heck, I still have my Nintendo Switch with me, and I am very thrilled to play Mario Tennis Aces as soon as it comes out. And I'm very thrilled to actually live stream it on Twitch as soon as possible, and maybe even during the online tournament, but who knows. But I'm still very interested in Mario games nowadays, especially with the music and also the gameplay. And there are definitely many other video games I do like to play as well. Mario's not the only video game franchise. There is the Legend of Zelda games that I've only dabbled on, which I may get into later. I will definitely get into them later for my Twitch channel, and also Super Smash Brothers, Nintendo, and there are also also other games from other franchises, especially Assassin's Creed. Basically, I'm pretty much interested in a wide variety of video games, but since I have a huge Mario bias, I really want to get my Mario bias out of the way first before I finally focus on the other video game franchises, because there's so many of them. Especially with music and TV shows, I also want to make music that I want to make organ arrangements of as well. I have a huge list in general, then I separate them by month so I can stay focused on what I'm doing. It's basically a way to help me stay motivated and focused on the work that I'm doing. And Yeah, I think that pretty much answers that question.
And I know you touched on a little about other video games, but what other IPs or intellectual properties do you want to explore in the future?
There are definitely other Nintendo franchises that I will definitely touch on after I finish the Mario series. The next one, the next one would be right off the bat, The Legend of Zelda, because it's kind of a habit to kind of do that with Nintendo franchises, because Mario is the most well known out of the rest. And I did mention Assassin's Creed. There are definitely some soundtracks in there I do want to make arrangements of, and also arrangements from other games as well that I probably might mix in with my Mario arrangements to give things some variety. Because understandably, I do know some people can get a little bit tired of me uploading lots of Mario, but hey, I'm doing it for a good reason. I want to upload the content as much as possible. I am that dedicated to it. You have no idea how much passion I have, this fiery burning passion I have to finish this. It's crazy.
Well, I've been enjoying it, and I'm not tired of it yet, so keep it going.
Okay, yes, definitely. And, movies as well. There are movie franchises that I do have interest in, like the James Bond film franchises. I am aware that some people have pretty much already made arrangements of them, but I don't know if they're gone public, so I probably make my own arrangements of them. I definitely am a Bond fan as well, so I do like the music from the Bond movies, and of course music from other genres. And if you don't mind, there's a quick question I have for you, if you don't mind. Have you ever watched Interstellar from 2014?
I have not.
Okay, because
I've heard the music is good from that, though.
oh yeah, especially since Hans Zimmer used the organ for that used the organ for the soundtrack. Yes. And yes, I fell in love with the film Interstellar. Some people must have already made arrangements of it, but I probably might still try to make my own arrangement for the heck of it. But yes, since I already did mention I have a huge list of arrangements I want to make, I pretty much already know what I want to do for the future, and so I'm pretty much not going to mention much from there than that.
You kind of answered a little of my next question. Was like, no, that's okay. That's quite all right. Just wondering, like, what's in store for the future of your channel. I know you've mentioned some of that. But anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think just to reiterate what I said, of course, I do already have a huge list that's still counting, because I'm still thinking of new songs to add to the list. And so I'm pretty much not going to run out of ideas for who knows how many more years in the future. So you're definitely going to see a lot more from me in the coming years. I can definitely guarantee you that.
Well, I will be looking forward to all the work that you do in the future. Yes. So thank you for sitting down and having this chat with me, letting my audience know a little bit more about you. So guys, definitely be sure you go over to Jonny's channel. As we said before, there will be links in the description. They'll be in the end cards. So that you can go over there, check out all the work he's done. It's absolutely fantastic. He's doing amazing arrangements and just doing great work for the organ in general. And it's a great way to experience this instrument with music you don't typically think of for it, and yet it's still music that you're going to recognize on a very, very cool instrument. Oh, yes. So thank you guys for watching today.
Yes.
See you real soon.
See you.